drama. We all love drama. And I remember in 1976, Cherry Grove, Fire Island, there was drama for days. This queen, a good friend of mine, Terry Warren, went to the Blue Whale in the Pines in drag for dinner. The owner of the Blue Whale, and just about everything else, sent his maitre d' out to tell her she could not eat dinner in the restaurant because it was a family establishment, and refused to serve her dinner because she was in drag. Well, she came back to the Grove, and certainly not that night, but the next day, the entire town was all, did you hear? The phones are ringing, did you hear? So word spread, and, for a few weeks, there was a lot of anger about it. Not that anybody planned for it to go anywhere, but we were pretty pissed off. And then July 4th came, and it was the bicentennial of America. And we were having a little cocktail party. There were 9 of us during the day. And everybody had their TV sets on because it really was a big event. So it was there, and we were watching the flotilla going up and down. And we were sitting there drinking and carrying on, and the subject came up about Terry, and someone said, well, isn't that disgusting? Oh, isn't that disgraceful? And people were getting angry. Can you believe that? A few more drinks. Can you believe that? God damn it. Well, we should just go over there and give him a what for? Well, a couple of more drinks later, and it was, yes, we're going to go. We decided we would all go in drag. So we gave everybody an hour. We got on the phone. There were 9 of us, and we said, everyone go home and get in drag, and we'll meet back here. So we all went home, and there were 2 women. The Dykes got dressed up in full leather. We all got dressed up in dresses. I happened to be the homecoming queen of Cherry Grove that year. So I had a beautiful pink ruffled cape that went right to the floor, a little tiara, and a page boy wig. And I remember my thing was I used to walk with 2 fingers and purse my lips and bless everybody. So we were going to go over and bless the Pines. So everyone got dressed. Most of them were not very pretty. I was. And the Dykes looked beautiful. And we went down and we ordered a water taxi from Randy and Sally's. It's funny how you remember all these stupid little details. And we got on the water taxi and we went over to the Pines. I remember we were in the harbor, we were laughing, we were carrying on, and what are we going to do? And we got to the mouth of the harbor, and all of a sudden there was dead silence. Everybody just panicked. And I guess we started to realize, oh my God, what are we doing? Are we insane? I know that's what was going on in my mind, but you could tell everybody else was kind of thinking it because we were all going from yak, 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 yak to all of a sudden dead silence. So somebody said, what if they attack us? And my lover said, surround the queen. And one of the Dykes said, fuck the queen, I'm getting out of there. So then we laughed. And the owner of the water taxi put his hand on the horn and entered the harbor, and it just went, The place was packed. It was mobbed. It was the thing to do, to go to tea dance. So all of a sudden, everyone's turning around and they're looking and saying, what's going on? And here's this little boat, and I'm standing on the back in my pink dress going, and all these people in drag, and the crowd went wild. Well, as I was getting ready to leave, and of course the lesbians were helping us off the boat, and somebody said, what is she doing here? And Amelia turned to me and she said, what are we doing here? And I said, I've come to bless the harbor. And she turned around to the queen and said, she's come to bless the harbor. And he turned around and said, she's come to bless the harbor. And you could see it going through the crowd. She's come to bless the harbor. She's come to bless the harbor. Well, we were screaming. And we went in and we had a drink. And we went to the hotel, had 3 floors. If you're ever in the Pines, you know exactly what I mean. We climbed to the top floor, and we all lined up and stood there, and I blessed the harbor. We got down, and we left. And we laughed. And that was the first invasion of the Pines. So 1977 comes along, and we're sitting there on July 4th, and I said, well, why don't we do it again? And someone said, oh, it was fun last year. Just let it be. You can't repeat. And I said, oh, let's do it again. What's the worst that could happen? We go in and we have a drink and we leave. So now we had 19 on the boat. And we did the same thing. We went into the harbor, and the place went wild this time, even wilder than the year before, because they remembered from the year before. So here we come again, and they let us in, and we had cocktails, and we danced, and everybody wanted to stay. And I said, no, 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 no. We made our point. That's the whole thing. We come, we slap them, we have a drink, free drink, and leave. And we've been doing it ever since. We just had our 41st year, and now we have 300. Well, the Invasion of the Pines now is a day of celebration and a day of pure camp, and that's what it is now. But we can't forget why we started, and we started out because of homophobia in the gay community. It started out as now it's a very trendy topic, the transgender community. It was discrimination against the transgender community is what it comes down to in 1976, before we had any of these terminologies or even knew what was happening. It existed and it was horrible, and that's what started the invasion. So we remember where we come from, we remember where we are, and then we celebrate who we are. And the invasion is just a day of celebration and joy now.